I know in many places, these terms are using in the wrong way, right? So now you know the difference. So start using the right term of the document you prepare when you are applying for jobs, right? Now, I have question when it comes to the resume, right? What kind of common mistakes we can usually find? As you feel, what sort of common mistakes people could do? Any thoughts? Any thoughts? Too many pages, structural issues, correct? What else? Layouts, very correct. There are many more. Fonts, correct. Keywords, yes, missing keywords. Lots of details, correct. Lengthy paragraphs, maybe. Too much unnecessary explanations, correct. Right. We got few answers. Yes, unnecessary details, not main things. Yes, in the resume, there are things that we need to focus more when we utilize the space, right? So we need to be mindful what information we put, what information we choose to put in our resume, which information we don't put, right? So yes, let's go through one by one. Spelling and grammar mistakes are very common, when it comes to resume. I know usually every day if I review set of resumes, I always find at least one or two resumes with a lot of spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes, right? Don't let that happen. Don't keep any spelling and grammar mistakes because that shows that you are a very careless person, right? Less preparation and all. And putting unprofessional photograph. If you are putting a photograph, right, ensure it is professional. You look neat, clean, and professional, right? Otherwise, choose not to put your photograph, right? We should not get negative points from your document when you are trying at your level best to create a good image about yourself, right? Why getting negative points, right? So you have to be very mindful in each and every detail in your document. Using inconsistent formatting, fonts or font sizes, like some of you said, right? Consistency should be followed throughout the document, right? If you are using a font, that should be in that font, in the same font in the content and formatting. If you have put, bullet points to mention sub points, you have to maintain that. If you are using a certain font size with bold letters to break certain sections, have that consistency in each section, right? So that's consistency. That makes your document, that makes your resume more professional and look nice and neat, right? Making the CV too lengthy or too brief. It's wrong even if it's too short and even too lengthy. Even today, I saw one of the resumes I received for an intern opportunity that had 4 pages, right? Wasting space. And even the recruiter, even the perspective from the recruiter, they don't have time to go through each and every page and pick the most important information about you. So you have to help the recruiter to help you within a very short period of time, right? Unprofessional email address. What does that mean? Right? So when you're sending your resume, okay, you have to ensure that you are sending your resume through a very professional email address. Why? Because I see some people send their resume in emails called different funky names. Princess, Prince, Rocks, and different, which doesn't include your name, right? Don't do that. When you are applying for jobs out there, keep a delegated email account which looks professional from the name of your email itself. That shows more professionalism in you, and you may not miss any communication as well from any company, right? And from the recruiter's perspective, when we search hundreds of mails in our inbox, or maybe in our vacancies email, or in our in our system, right? In certain systems we use to apply to advertise the positions. So sometimes we search from your name. If we have shortlisted and marked it somewhere, so we search it. So if you are not using your name, maybe your document, your resume doesn't pick in there. That's the disadvantage for you all, right? So use a professional email. Missing or incorrect contact information. Even today, this happened to me. So when you are mentioning your contact information in your resume, ensure that it's a working contact number. Your email is correct there, right? If you're mentioning your LinkedIn profile link in there, when you click on it, it directly goes to your profile, right? Check those, please. Better if you can mention 2 contact numbers. So if one doesn't work, we have another number to contact you. Don't expect that a recruiter or the person who reviews your resume will try hundreds of times to get back to you. That practically doesn't happen, guys. Why? Because it's all about time, right? I always tell it's sometimes 6 seconds game you have, right? It's few seconds the recruiter spend to read the most important information in your resume. We don't have minutes. We don't have sometimes even hours. No way, right? Calculate and see. If the recruiter is processing 20 positions, sometimes some recruiters handle more than that, sometimes 70, 75, maybe more than 100 positions. Calculate and see how much limited the recruiter's time to review one resume per day. You will realize how challenging it is, right? So the recruiter should be able to grab most important information from your resume within seconds, right? So they are usually do it with practice. So when it's lengthy, they don't have time. And if your contact number is incorrect, the person will try maximum twice, and then he or she will go to some other profile because they don't have time to spend a lot in there. If your profile is really, really extraordinary, right, exceptional, right, then sometimes they will save your they will keep your resume with them and maybe try calling in another time. That might happen, might not also, right? So when you are applying for jobs, you also should be mindful to be alert to calls. If you have a missed call, right, you should expect that it could be a recruiter as well. So have a courtesy to call back and check, right? Then you will not miss any golden opportunity which is in front of you, right? Incorrect dates of employment and gaps. This is also happening. So sometimes people think, right, when I have gaps in my employment for any reason, maybe personal reason, maybe some sickness, maybe due to some reason, some people have, especially working mothers during maternity period, or maybe they decide to resign from one company and have some kind of a break in their career and rejoin for corporate, right? So, and some people, some sickness, right? Or maybe different reasons they stop the career for certain academic purpose, and some taking some break and then they rejoin for corporate. So in certain instances they think having that gap is not okay. There's nothing like that. As far as you don't lie in your document, I think that's the most important thing. Recruiter is also a human and they can understand you. But if you lie, don't forget that they will catch that also, right? They realize it at some point in the selection process, they get it, right? So never ever lie in your resume or during the interview. Be honest. That shows one of your qualities, right? Because corporates always want loyal people, not liars, right? And then using one size fits all approach. What does that mean? Sometimes people think, okay, I have a nice resume, nice template, very nice photograph, all details are there, right? Now I'm okay. And keep applying for jobs using the same resume, right? What happens? What could go wrong? I know sometimes you may also do that. What can go wrong? What could go wrong? Any ideas? Any ideas? Right. So I think you all have heard about ATS system, application tracking systems, right? So a lot of companies use technology to automate their processes, to simplify their processes. So and they use different systems to shortlist resumes. One of the worst things could happen is your resume could not get picked, right? Exactly. Like Kavi has said, depending on the position you apply, your not exactly the skills, but you need to use different keywords. You have to repress the content, not lying, but the same thing from different words using keywords. When you refer the advert, you feel, okay, these are the qualifications they need. These are the responsibilities having in the role, right? So if you don't use keywords relates to this job requirement in your resume, when you describe things in maybe here and there, sometimes, most of the times, your CV or resume could not get picked in the system, right? Simple example. So if the common term we use is the working experience, so we call it experience, right? So if we have fed the system, one of the keywords is experience, 5 years or whatever, 6-month internship or whatever. So in your experience section, if you don't use that experience as a section breaker or in there somewhere, that may not picked, because the system search and search and search, but that doesn't, the system cannot find that word, and there's match they provide. I'll show you at the latter part of the presentation how that ATS works. So can things go wrong? And let's say we shortlist resumes manually, right? So what happens is when we read your resume, we also have the job profile in our head, right? So we read your resumes with that understanding in our head. So when we read also, if we cannot pick anything related to the job role, then we also feel, okay, this resume is not that matching to this role. Even though it's ATS, even though it's manual work, that's why you need to customize your resume according to the position you apply with different words using different keywords, right? So these are the most common mistakes people usually do when they are structuring their resumes, right? And any questions? Any questions? Right. Now let's see what happens, how to make your resume stand out. What are the basic standards, right? And what are the key components in the resume? And when you are sending your resume, what are the basic standards you should follow? Things you don't think, but equally important, right? Okay. Before go to that, I want to give you a little understanding why it's important to have a strong resume. What do you think? Why it's important to have a strong resume? Why do we always call, why you are facilitated with this kind of sessions? Why you are learning all these to make your resume stand out now, right? So why it's important? Any thoughts? Any thoughts? One or two ideas? I said some of the reasons, if you remember. Right. I'll tell you why. Right. Okay, we got one answer. Very good. That's the first thing to get in. Get into the industry. Yes, creates a good impression. Exactly. Yes. Any other thoughts? Actually, yes. It's the very first point of contact between you and the recruiter. Don't forget that, right? We might know you, might not, right? But it's a very first initial contact you have with the recruiter. And that is the document recruiter reads and have a kind of a first impression about yourself, right? Okay, this person is like this, having this kind of experience and have done these extracurricular activities and having this kind of experience, industry expertise, right? And maybe if you have put a professional photograph, that also shows a very strong impression about yourself, right? At least just to understand whether you are a girl or a boy, right? But now we don't talk about it a lot, right? Because it's gender balanced right now. But it's up to you to decide and put, but I always prefer to have a photograph because then it shows okay, with your name, that gives you some kind of a psychological, it reminds. Sometimes from the photograph, we remind people, we remember people, right? And first impression is something very important, right? But in psychology, it says the first impression is wrong, right? There are different thoughts about it, but I believe in an interview, the first impression is very important because people still have different judgments, right? Thinking that first impression is wrong, you can't walk into an interview having flip-flops and, you know, wearing a short and t-shirt. You can't go for an interview. You still follow the basic standards, right? That's because we still have a kind of a, you know, everybody expect that professionalism and a first impression to create, right? So this first impression creates from the point of view, send your resume. I'll tell you why, right? And then it highlights all your qualifications and achievements as well. Like I said, if you focus on right information to put in your resume, right, that highlights, right, in a nice way, your qualifications and all the achievements in there, right, and reflects your professionalism, right? When you follow basic instructions, basic standards, right, and you structure it very mindfully, and you customize it and send according to the advert you apply. So that shows certain professionalism, and by looking at it, the recruiter can understand, okay, this person knows standards, right? So that is a plus point for you and improves your interview chances. Of course, when you have a nice, strong resume, there's some more probability of getting a call for an interview. Resume, as soon as you send a resume, we don't, nobody can say that you are getting a job. Resume is not, right? That's where people get it wrong. Resume is to get a call from a recruiter to attend for an interview, right? And then interview chances are many, right? When you have a strong resume, so there's a more probability of recruiter keeping it shortlisted to consider, right? And customizable for different roles. When you have a strong resume, it's easy for you to customize, right? Because all the key information is there. It's just about adjusting a little bit, changing some of the key words and sending out, right? Maybe you can share the picture if you want, photograph if you want, and the objective sometimes. You know, if you want more space and put something more important according to the role you apply, you can take it out and you can put that information, right? You don't have to customize a lot when you have a strong resume. And the other thing is personal marketing tool. We call it personal branding, right? Branding is important as a candidate as well, right? I'll touch that part as well in the latter part of the presentation if I have time, because you carry a brand with you. Even though you know it or not, you carry a brand. Some people nicely market it, brand them. Some people don't even care about it, right? People who know the art of branding, know the art of personal marketing, right? Use it very nicely. Even when they are sending the resume, and even when they are facing the interviews as well, and even basically in everywhere. It doesn't need to be a professional in a career. I have seen even undergraduates, maybe in your batch also you are seeing brands. Simple examples. So if I ask in your class, who can sing nicely? Who is the best singer in your classroom? Right? Or maybe in your class or in your batch, who is usually take the leadership and do things. ඉදිරිපත් වෙලා දේවල් කරනවා කියලා අපි කියන්නේ. Right? And another example, in your batch, who is the sports person? Who does many sports, or maybe a sports achiever? Brands. They carry a brand with them, right? Or maybe, so everybody carries a different brand with them. The thing is, you don't care about it, right? So if you don't know what's your brand, just sit and think, which brand, how I want to create my brand. If I want, whether I want to be a nice speaker, public speaker, whether I want to be a dancer, whether I want to be a social influencer in LinkedIn or Facebook, or we see a lot of people as social influencers these days, right? Fashion icons, right? That's personal branding, right? So when you're searching your career opportunities also, you need to carry a certain brand to some level. Otherwise, you are behind. You are also just an ordinary person, not an extraordinary person, right? Now I'm gonna talk about few key components in a resume. Before moving to that, I just want to see whether you have any questions to ask. I hope all clear. Is there any one question? Is there any chance or probability to reject our CVs from ATS when we add image on our CVs? No. Some advise not to put face in resume as bias or preference in looks could come into play rather than experience and skill. That's what people have different ways, right? But in ATS, there's nothing like if you use your photograph or something, ATS doesn't pick it, right? If so, then ATS can't pick any resume because most of the resumes use professional photographs. That may be depend on the system as well, but sometimes small errors or system errors could happen. So then some resumes doesn't pick. Things can happen like that, right? Even though you make your resume to the 100% ATS friendly, sometimes things could go wrong and does not pick your resume. Things can happen. And the second question, yes, like I said, there are some gender balance things also. So there are some organizations, they don't have that gender discrimination. So when they advertise also, they know that they want a girl for this role, but they don't advertise and publicly say, we need only female candidates. But when they are shortlisting only, they focus on and do, right? And they know for this role, which is like, shift basis and have to go out stations and a lot of field work and all, they maybe prefer a male candidate, but they don't mention as male candidates. Male candidates preferred. Some companies does, right? Some don't, right? So there are things like that. And a time like this, so putting a picture of you, that's why I said it's your choice, but there's nothing wrong putting a picture as well, right? It could make a good image, or it could add certain, for your first impression, some connection with the recruiter. Okay, they remember the face sometimes. Maybe when you are walking to the interview, they remember the candidate from the face. That's the good thing about it, right? And sometimes from the name, we cannot figure out whether this candidate is a boy or a girl. So when we are calling or informing certain things, then we get surprised. Okay, even though the name is this is a boy. Some things can happen, but there's no wrong of using it, and there's no wrong in not using it too, That is your choice. And sometimes according to the template you use as well, right? And if like you have mentioned, there's nothing like, buyers or more prefer like, when you use a picture, it will grab the attention and not mainly for not getting the attention to the skills or experience. Recruiters never shortlist profiles just by the looking at it, right? They're definitely going through the experience and the skills the candidate is having. Other than, in recruitments, we have the filtering mechanism. If we have 100 resumes receiving, so first screening, how many candidates we get, then again screening, going through the profile again, or maybe having quick telephone conversation and check the basic information of the person. Then again, getting maybe a small quantity of the resumes, right? Then they are maybe having interview rounds, then getting filtered again, getting a smaller quantity again, then there are maybe assessment centers or maybe different psychological assessments kind of things, again filtering, right? Maybe reference checks happening, negotiations happening, filtering. Then for the final level, we get one or two or maybe very few candidates selected or shortlisted. That's how this filtering mechanism works, right? So there's nothing like that when you put a picture, you get less attention or to the experience or the skill. Is it useful to include my A-levels and O-level results when applying for final year internships? Depends on the space you have in the resume, right? If you have very, the basic standard is to have 1 or 2 pages. 1 page is more than enough for you as fresher. So if you have space, you can mention. Like I said before, if you have more important information, so you need to be very mindful which information you put. If you have, leadership roles you have held, extracurricular activities you have done, if you have academics or any other achievements to mention, maybe any work experience you have, then that needs more space other than listing down your results. But you can mention how many A's, how many B's, how many C's, and maybe to which key subjects you got, maybe for English, maths, and science, something like that. In A levels, maybe it's just the math stream or commerce or whatever, and 3 A's or something like that, right? And so if you're coming from a state university, everybody knows that you are having excellent A-level results, and that's why you are landed in the university. That's common sense. So you don't have to mention all the results in there, because we know you did A-levels because you had good O-level results, and you are in the university because you have had a good result from your A-levels and being in one of the key universities in Sri Lanka. But you can just mention the key subjects, maybe like, English proficiency is something you can show if you have good results, right? So if in that case, you can mention key subjects, I have these results, something like that. All right. So in resume, this is a very basic one. This doesn't have many information that I am referring to, but this covers a lot of the areas that I want to mention, right? So in a resume, we usually have professional photograph. So as I said, you can show it. You can put, or you don't need to put it. So you can save this space and put something else in there, right? And also we have personal information in our resume. That is the most important part in your resume. Even though you have a very, very nice resume, if your contact details are not correct and we don't have a way to reach out to you, useless, right? කිසිම ප්‍රයෝජනයක් නැහැ. So contact information is very important. And again, professional summary, right? Professional summary is in the top of your resume. Some people call it summary, professional summary, and profile, objective. Different terms are there. You can choose whatever it is. This part should not be lengthy, right? You have to put in a very brief format, covering the overall about yourself, right? What is your career aspiration? Like, who do you want to be based on your, education qualification maybe? And bit about yourself, key strengths in you, since you are a fresher, right? But if the person is having more experience, this will show how many years of experience the person has in which industries, key achievements maybe, and what sort of opportunities or areas the person is interested. So these kind of informations can be put in there. So, but sometimes when we use template itself suggests us contents. No? So in there it says, I'm self-motivated and having this thing, that thing, leadership skills, a lot of things. I think it's not necessary in this profile. If you have key skills which makes you stand out, mention it, right? Other than that, don't waste that space and don't waste the time of the reader also mentioning very common skills, right? Just for the sake of putting there. It should be very meaningful. And the other thing is your work experience, right? Work experience is also important. Like I said, your recent work experience should be in the top, and the other work experience must be at the bottom, right? And in a resume, education qualification should be at the bottom. That is another mistake using wrong templates. In a CV, we use the other way around, right? We use education qualifications at the top and work experience at the bottom. Why? Why? Because we use the CV for more academic purpose, research purpose, science field related opportunities. Then there we need more of our education qualifications, the research, publications, achievements we have gained, right? That's why we give more priority to education qualifications rather than the work experience. But where when you are applying for industry experience, right? For a job, we need your qualifications, right? Your experience, your skills, right? Experience, if you don't have right now, so you can put your education qualifications in there. So if you, once you have internship qualifications or something, you can put in the top, right? And educational qualifications, like I said, the recent ones at the top and the old ones at the bottom, right? And your skills. So when you're mentioning your skills also, don't put a lengthy list of skills, right? You can break it down to technical skills and other skills, right? If you're coming from maybe engineering or any other area, designer to designer kind of roles. So you may be having different tools, specific skills. So then you can break it down to technical skills and other skills. But be mindful to mention the most relevant tools only you have knowledge about. Don't put the skills or something which you have some basic and you just only know the tool but you don't know how to use it. People do this, right? Don't put. And in soft skills also, people mention that I have good leadership skills, team working skills, you know, presentation skills, and I'm a good this, that, right? But when the interviewer asks, okay, tell me one of the occasions that you have shown your leadership skills, right? Or maybe just share with us an occasion that you have taken a leadership role. The interviewer picked that question from the skills you put in there. You put in there with a purpose, no? Right? Because you believe that you have good leadership skills, right? There's no wrong in the interviewer. But that's where you get real stuck. If you put it without a meaning, then you start thinking, maybe taking long time, you think, okay, where I have, what should I tell? Where I have taken leadership role, I don't get anything to my head, right? That's where you get stuck sometimes. Don't be like that. When you put something in your resume, you should have a very good confidence with evidence to share with the interviewer why I believe that I have this skill, right? Same applies to technical tools as well, technical skills. So if you say that I'm good at Python, if I'm good at MySQL, or I don't know, into designing tools, right? Into robotics, maybe different areas you have. So if the recruiter asks, okay, tell me in which kind of occasions you have used this tool, what you have done using this tool, you should be able to share your experience. You should be able to share some examples of using this tool. Okay, in this project, to create this part, I use this tool, right? To design certain flyers or some social media contents, I use this Canva or whatever the tool, right? So I'm good at Photoshop because I use Photoshop. This when I was doing this, this club related work, so because we did a lot of designs, internal communication, social media work like that. Then you have examples. So before going for an interview, right, you should be able to answer for any questions relate to your resume. Interviewer never asks things which is not relevant to your resume, right? And what else? What else you can include? So you can mention these kind of things in your resume as well, depending on the space, and prioritizing the space, managing and organizing the space. You can put all these as well. Certifications, your achievements, your awards, right? I was at NSBM yesterday in a career fair with my team. So there was a candidate. He was actually good, very forward, very outgoing, and he was all rounder. And when I was listening to him, he was sharing a lot of things what he did, right? But those extracurricular things, sports sides, sports he had done, none of those things were in the CV, in his resume. So I asked why you have not put all this, since you have some sports achievements, you are an all-rounder, have held some leadership roles in those clubs, organized certain events, and you carry a nice personality, right? Why you have not put all this? So he was just smiling and said, I didn't think it was important to put that, right? It is important, right? Because it says another side of yourself, your because from sports, sometimes, we understand how far you are a team player, how far you take leadership roles, how far you are able to tolerate things, right? Right? And, it's all about win and lose sometimes. You can't win all the games. So whether you are a person of, tolerating things, so likewise, people get a lot of read about yourself from the extracurricular activities you have done. So that's the good part of it. So if you have something to highlight about yourself, put it in there. Managing the space, organizing the space, uh, prioritize the most important information to put in your resume, right? Referees also. So referees, you have two ways of putting. Let's take one occasion that you have a lot of information to put. You are all round and you have a lot of things to put in there, but now you don't have space to put two referees, right? So if that is a scenario, what you can do is you can just mention a clause at the bottom of your resume. Referees will be provided upon the request, kind of a statement, right? Then recruiter will request from you about referee details. One good thing in there is sometimes if you have a few referees in your head, you can pick whoever who is available by that time and give that information to the recruiter, right? And the other thing, you can manage your space in a smart way, right? Or else what most people do is you put two referees details. So in there, you need to discuss with the referee before you put the details, and you need to ensure the contact details are correct and the numbers, emails are working, right? And the person is in overseas. As an example, one of my referees is not in Sri Lanka, right? So what I have put in my resume is the WhatsApp number and an email address and workable two contact numbers, right? So when I'm applying for any jobs, I just inform him. Here you might get a call to give reference about myself. So is that okay? So I always check with my referees, right? So have that respect to your referees and give that courtesy. Have that courtesy also to have that conversation with your referees, right? And what are the standards to be maintained? Contact information, like I said, full name should be there and your address is optional, right? Number should be correct and reachable, right? And your LinkedIn profile, include the link, right? And in your education, recent education at the top, the highest qualification also should be top, right? And your institute name, your university name, which period you completed this qualification, right? GPA is optional. You have the choice of putting it or not, right? But only if you have a good GPA, right? And other thing is your work experience. Again, in there also you put the recent job experience where at the top, and your full name of the company and the location, whether it's Sri Lankan based, whether if it's an overseas one, put the country in there, right? Your job title, which period to which period you had that job with that company, right? And most important thing is last one. In any job you do, maybe as an intern, right? Try to gain more experience, right? Where you can achieve results. As an example, if you have a chance to be a part of projects, be part of it, right? You can mention the results, your accomplishments in your resume, right? Take the chances to give new ideas for process improvement, improve quality, right? Manage waste, improve efficiency, right? If you're working in a manufacturing company, you can do a lot of things. But in service companies also, you can do a lot, right? So every day during your internship or whatever the job you do, take it as a learning opportunity. Have that learning mindset, observe things, right? Always try to bring results, right? Some result. Maybe it could. So sometimes some people say, okay, I am HR intern, so what result I can bring? It's not sales, it's not waste, it's not efficiency, it's not this and that. So how I can put results in there? There are ways, right? You can do a lot in the processes you handle. It could be new initiatives, it could be a new idea generation, it could be some process standardization. You standardize certain documents, right? When there's a process of using number of 5-6 document formats, and you revisit all the documents and you reduce it to only 2 documents, it is a process improvement. It is standardization, right? There must be some results bringing from there, reducing the process time, maybe standards, right? You can put. So that part is very important in any work experience you put in your resume, right? Try to bring more results, then you have very strong resume with you, right? That shows that you are a result-oriented person, that you are a doer, executor, not just a person who follows instruction. In corporates, we don't want parrots, right? Parrots are none. Corporates always seeking people who are passionate, who are committed, who are loyal, who can bring results to an extra mile, who are idea generators, who are change makers, right? That's what needed. Why we always take fresh blood to companies? Because we need different thinkers, different change makers, right? Different generations at different value, right? So yeah, that's about work experience. And when it comes to formatting a layout also, you have certain standards to follow when it comes to the font and font sizes and how you structure it, how you use the white space in there, right? And the standard is to use 1 page or maximum 2 pages. Even my resume with 15 plus experience, I only have 2 pages. I have managed it to 2 pages. And sometimes for higher positions, maybe for maybe having 20, 30 years of experience. Some professionals have 2 documents right now, brief document of the resume and a detailed version of the resume. So when they initially apply for the job, they just send the brief resume document. And when we shortlist and when we're having a short discussion with the candidate, actually we can realize it, right? From when it's brief, from the number of experience the person has, we know that there should be another resume document. So we usually request it, sometimes ask, do you have a detailed version of your resume? Right? So then they send it. So that requires, when you have number of years at this stage, you can actually manage it to 1 page. Trust me, you can, right? That's about formatting and layout. Some people use Times New Roman as a font, but I don't recommend it too much. Arial, Calibri, and those fonts are very much, okay to use. Even for ATS, it's a myth that you need to use Times New Roman, otherwise your resume doesn't pick. There's nothing like that, right? So since I mentioned about ATS, I'll quickly tell you how it works. By the time of before going to that, do you have any questions? Anything to ask? All clear? Can I get few thumbs up or some reaction just to see that you understand everything? Good. Thank you very much for your response. This was the question. ATS. Right. Yeah. So how ATS work? So when we have a job vacancy, what we do is we first post that. Okay, one question. Yes, go ahead. Please go ahead and ask your question. Right. So we post it in LinkedIn, maybe in top jobs and different job portals, just to attract more applicants, right? So then applicants apply and submit their applications to maybe to the system. How you can see is sometimes we mention our vacancies email, just asking candidates to email, right? Sometimes you may have seen in the adverts, click on the advert option, right? So when you click on the advert, you directs to certain details required, name and contact details and basic qualifications, experience, kind of things you need to fill and attach the resume and submit, right? Sometimes people are lazy even for that, right? If we did a job before getting into university, can we add that under working experience? Yes, of course. You can put, right? Because sometimes some may have worked as bank trainees, and some kind of experience. That's okay. You can put that. But when you are getting more relevant experience, you can actually remove it in your resume later of your career, because you have more relevant experience. You don't have space to put everything in there. Maybe just 6 month or 1 year experience of non-relevant experience to your main career. You can eliminate that eliminate it from your resume. That's okay. So what I was telling is we advertise and then we get more applications. So sometimes they have the option of click on the advert, then you are direct to a system, you fill all the details, attach your resume and submit it. So then that's where we get resumes through email, vacancies email, or maybe through system as well, right? So to work ATS, obviously there should be a system, right? Otherwise it doesn't work. So in ATS, we can, before advertising, what we do is we feed all the details like what is the position, qualifications required, what is the job responsibilities, and certain keywords in there. What are the keywords we want to search in resumes? And based on that, the system reads the resumes and the system shortlists, right? This is that part, short listing of candidates. This AI analysis works in there, right? And then this suitability score it provides. So we can actually feed that suitability score also to system. Like as an example, let's say that I want to recruit a executive finance, right? So I put all the job description in there, responsibilities to qualifications to keywords and basic things about the job role. And I set it as I want to get resumes which are 85% fitting to my job profile, right? Then the system only provides the profiles which are only fitting 85% or above. If I fix that suitability score as 70%, the system provides me a list of candidates who are fitting 70% or more than that. That's how it works, right? It makes the world easy. Not just the suitability score. After that, I can actually schedule assignments and, you know, some screening conversations. So you may be getting a call from the robotic, what do you call that? So yeah, some robot is there. So the person that robot is taking that call, and we can fit the questions we want to ask from the candidate as well. Few basic questions, like maybe just about the work experience and living area, if it's something we prioritize or something that we can pick certain few questions. So during that conversation, you may not feel like you're talking to the robot, but your call records, we can get the script as well. So that records. So from there also, they sometimes, the system sometimes shortlist, right? Giving us some kind of insight about the candidates we shortlisted, right? From there, we can further shortlist. And also in the next step, scheduling interviews also, we can get the help of the AI, right? If I feel that I want to fix the first interview for these days, these candidates on this date, right? At this time. So the system I can actually feed that information by the time of job vacancy post. These are the dates and the time available for the interviews. So without even giving that command, the system can automatically does that part for me. That's how much the technology helps us. So that interview scheduling also doing by the system. So you are getting an email with the link maybe, and even the interviewers getting a notification on this date, this time. We have the you have the interview kind of things. So everything is automated. That's how this ATS work, right? That is why your resume should be, you know, have to structure very mindfully with most important information about yourself, using right keywords according to the job application, job advert that you have used. Okay, right. I'll quickly go to the this part as well, right? Since we have run out of time. Without taking much time, I'll quickly take you through the interview part as well. But you have any questions, just raise your hand and ask. So when you're sending your resume, like I said, you have to tailor your application, email address, subject line, right? Email body should be brief, right? And use common file formats like PDF. Never ever send in Word format, guys, right? People can change any of your information, right? And name your attachment in the right way with your name, and you can use resume or something like that. But ensure that it has a part of your name, because when we download, it automatically saves from your name, and it's easy for us to filter, right? Otherwise, we have to rename it and save again and again, and you have to, like I said, you have to help the recruiter to help you and easily remind you, easily remember you, right? So proofread. Always send it to one of your friends, your lecturers, maybe your family member. Ask them to read it, right? And if there's anything that they feel like not okay, get that feedback and change it always, right? And double check your contact information. It's very important. Ensure your LinkedIn profile is up to date. If you put your LinkedIn link, ensure it is updated, right, with right information. That's about it. And these are few of the tools you can use when you are making your resume, right? According to the purpose, these platforms can help you to create a good resume. Like, Canva is good for very, making creative resumes, very visually appealing resumes, because it has more modern designs, more creative designs. So most of the times, but even you can use it a different template and change it. That's fine. And we have SETI and Nova Resume and also resume.com and CV Maker. So according to the purpose you have, you can just try out these tools and get good templates from there, right? Try out. That is about the CV part, the resume part. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, then I'll quickly take you through some important information about interview phasing as well, right? So there are a few types of interviews, guys. In-person interviews are there. Like I said, telephone conversations are there. I do a lot of telephone conversations. Before I'm, before if I feel like I should have a little talk with the candidate before I meet the person, I usually take that call, right? And web conference, virtual interviews, right? And panel interview. In a panel interview, there can be, maybe 4 to 5 interviews, maybe more than that, right? So every interviewer has a purpose. Some are there just to observe you. They don't talk even a word, just observing, right? Sometimes they just observe you from by the time of you are entering from the gate, they just observe you. How you talk, how you sit, how you behave, right? So in there, sometimes they read about you, your qualities, your manners, right? For certain job roles, actually it matters. That is why, right? Because some companies are very much value oriented, very much culture oriented. So they are very particular on picking the candidates for their organization, right? It's not just the skills, it's not just the academic excellence you have. They want more, right? So these are the basic types of interviews. For me, the panel interviews are the most stressing because I have been in there. It is actually stressing, but you should be prepared to face any type of these interviews by the time of starting applying, right? You should expect a call, right? It can be a call to just inform about the interview. Sometimes with that, the recruiter is having a kind of screening also. One incident happened recently. I had one of the very good profile I found in, I would say, one of the best state universities in Sri Lanka. We had a recent career fair in there. So I met that girl in there. So she was actually outstanding. Very good communication skills, personality, and she was all-rounder, having good leadership roles held and all, right? So she said, even though she was coming from some marketing related degree background, she was interested in HR as well. So later on, I just wanted to have a quick chat with the person. So I took a call because it was for my team. So basically, if I am choosing somebody for my team, I directly involve to the entire end-to-end recruitment process, because I'm very particular on picking. Not because of anything, because the things that happening in my teams are very much people oriented. So I really need people having with the same vibe and the mentality, right manners and qualities as well. So then this girl actually didn't answer my call at the first time, right? So I actually went through some other work, and after maybe 1 or 2 hours, I got another call. Then she answered the call, right? So I was just having a little conversation, asking about the background details and all. She didn't show much of a, enthusiastic kind of a feeling to me. So then I felt she was not that interested. So I asked, do you have any opportunities with you, right? Or you are considering any opportunities in some other company? So she should have told me, okay, so I have applied for some other opportunities and I'm waiting for a reply from them at the very beginning without even wasting the time of the other person, but she didn't, right? But when I asked that, she said yes. So I have applied, and I had certain conversations during the career fair with a few companies, and they said they will call me for interviews, right? So this person has not even received a call for interviews yet. See the attitude. So she was she was from one of the key schools in Colombo also, right? So she said, so I think they will call me. So I said, okay, so we have this opportunity. So I gave a brief understanding about the role as well. And would you like to apply and see? So she just cut the call, right? She just cut the call. It was not polite at all, right? Don't ever do that. So if you are like, considering any other opportunities in other companies, that's okay. When you're getting a call from a recruiter or somebody, if you're only interested, continue the conversation, or else at the very beginning, you can mention here, I'm considering few opportunities. So let me get back to you based on the response I'm getting from those companies. That is very polite rejection, right? But that behavior was very rude, right? I never know whether she got any calls or not. But from simple actions of you, by simple behaviors of you, people sometimes read you in different ways. If the recruiter requires certain behavior, certain mindset, certain qualities, certain values from the person, which is indirectly connecting to the role, that's where you will fail if you don't have a professional behavior during those conversations, guys, right? So I felt very sorry about that person. I didn't even bother to call her again. Even I didn't receive a simple message from the person. So I don't know whether it was a network problem or something. But if it's because of some reason the call cut, right, purposely or not, just send the person a kind of a nice message. Thank you very much for calling. Thank you very much for calling, but let's see, I will consider the opportunity in some other time. Why? Because this is a very small world, guys. We never know in where we meet again, right? So if that is the case, don't ever think that people don't remember you. People remember you. If you always have professional connections with people, right? Professional exits, professional networks, professional conversations, professional behaviors, especially when it comes to corporate, that lasts longer. That is the brand you carry, right? That creates your first impression. That creates your personal brand. People remember you from the professionalism you carry sometimes. You may sometimes remember certain people. I have seen these people, she or he is very professional. Very from the look itself, the person is very professional. I'm pretty sure you may have seen certain people and you still remember the face, maybe not the name, but from the face sometimes, right? Be somebody like that who carries a good brand with you, right? Just wanted to share that because those little things matters. So when you're preparing for interviews, let's say now you have applied for jobs. Now it's so by the time of applying also you need to start preparing for interviews. In there, right? Know each and every bit of the details you put in your resume, right? Know your resume, prepare your documents, right? If you want to carry any documents with you, make your file ready with the documents, write documents in there, right? If you have work experience, all the, appointment letters, exit documents maybe, right? Those documents should be nicely arranged in your profile, in your file, right? And the second thing, dressing skills. You don't need to have expensive clothes, but you need to have the sense of professional dressing, right? If you're a boy, have proper, shave and cut your hair properly, right? If you're a girl, always, have a neat and clean look in you. You can have a ponytail, and if you have a frizzy hair, just avoid that, right? If you're traveling by bus, it may be sweaty, it's hot out there, so go to the washroom before you're facing to the interview. Just refresh, right? Don't ever have bad odor, right? Always use a deodorant or something if you're going for an interview. That is personality, right? So always maintain a good look in you when you're going for interviews, right? And research about the company as well. අර අපි සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ යකාගේ විමාන දැනගෙන යන්න ඕනේ කියලා. So ඒ වගේ තමයි. So when you are applying for a job, just research a bit about the company. What is the company background, from where they are coming in, whether they are operates in other countries as well. Is it a multinational company? What is the culture? You can simply follow their websites, follow their social media pages, and for a few days until you get a call. You can just, if they have a social media page, just follow it and see what's the culture, what kind of events they do, how their people, right? LinkedIn profiles. So search a bit, have kind of a research and see, right? And then again, understand the job description. I mentioned this before, right? That's a key thing. Even before you are going for an interview, keep your job advert saved in somewhere, the positions you apply all the time. Before you are going for the interview, just refer it again and go. Then you know how to balance your answers when you're answering, right? Prepare your answers in the STAR model. I'll tell you what is the STAR model in the next slide. So this STAR model can apply to answer for any questions in interviews. It's a very simple tool you can use, right? And plan your traveling and connection method resources. Be early. Never ever get late to interviews. If you are getting late at least 5-10 minutes, just inform the recruiter that you are getting late because of this reason, right? And if you are not attending to the interview because of any reason, maybe if you are not interested, have a courtesy at least to put a nice SMS or a message saying that you are not coming to the interview, right? Or you are not interested at all. Maybe you got another opportunity, that's okay. Just have that politeness to inform the recruiter so they can arrange that time to somebody else, right? We have a question. No, I'll answer to that question later. And practice. So always before going to the interview, have a better preparation, guys, proofread your resume, right? And go in front of the mirror, and you can get a lot of interview questions now from the internet. basic interview questions, and you can practice of answers. Then once you prepare, practice only, you will remember the facts to share, right? Otherwise, if you wait until to present in the interview, sometimes you don't remember anything in there, but if you practice answering certain questions, you will remember the facts by that time, right? And this is the STAR model. So situations, task, actions, and result. What situation was there, right? And your role and the responsibilities. What was your task, right? And action. Specific actions you took to maybe to overcome that situation, or maybe to solve that problem, right? Maybe to standardize something, right? What actions you got, what specific steps you did, right? Results. What were the outcome? මම කියවනේ results mention කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන විදිහට learning එක ගන්න කියලා, right? So you should have results to mention in your resume. Likewise, so as an example, so the same question. So can you just tell me one of the occasions which was really challenging for you, but how did you overcome that, right? So interviewer asked that question from you. So most people may answer about A-levels, O-levels, university exams and all. Don't. You maybe have plenty of other occasions which was challenging for you. Pick one. The situation, right? So it could be some event you had to organize, or maybe some sport, kind of a tournament that you had to attend, but you had some challenging situation in there, right? Or maybe you get some leadership role to handle, right? It was challenging to take the team together and do that, right? That is the situation. Describe the situation first, right? And then the task, your role, right? So I was the group leader. I was the team leader, and we had that tournament coming in the next month, right? So I was the key coordinator of this event in the university, right? What was your role? What was the responsibilities you had to perform, right? And what actions? Okay, now you said what's the challenge situation, okay, in there as an example. So in the, maybe if you have to play, face for the tournament, you didn't have proper time to practice. So people have different free times. So they were not that, enthusiastic. So you need to motivate them, and you need to get them team working, how to create that team bonding, right? And to schedule some practice sessions, targeting the tournament, right? So some players have not practiced for months, right? So that was the problem. So explain the problem, right? What actions you took, right? Break down the action plan you had, right? So there are skills. Getting the suggestions of one common time and getting them all to the ground, and I was just analyzing their skills, what level they were in, and I noted what needs to be improved. And I got suggestions of having a proper practice plan. This is what I did. This is what I can do to motivate them. This is what I can do to have their team building, right? Likewise, what steps, what actions, right? Result. End of the day, by doing all those actions and all, how successful you were in that situation. That's the most important thing. That was only one example that I shared, but that can apply to many situations that you, not only situations, that can apply to many questions the interviewer asks also, right? As an example, he or she, the interviewer asks about one of the job experience you have, right? You can explain about the situation, what was the job about, right? What is your task, right? What is your key responsibilities and all? What actions, what steps you usually used, right? to standardize maybe. I said you always have to bring results, right? So what actions you took? How did you do that job, right? What results you brought? Then you stand out in the interview. When other people just describe about job responsibilities, you add some magic in it. You mention what you did differently in that job, what results you brought. I was a part of this project and we did this process initiative, right? We brought in this idea and we drove it as a team. We executed this like this, and this was the result. How beautiful is your answer then, right? When we interview like many candidates and when we listen, somebody is telling different answers to the questions we ask, actually we get all attention to you, right? That's how you can be stand out in interviews, right? And facing interviews, there are certain tips you can use, right? First impression, like I said, it's important. So confidence of entering to the room and friendly greeting, those things you can actually use when to create a first impression in a good way, right? Posture. හරියට ඉඳ ගන්න හරියට නැගිටින්න, right? Sit up straight and avoid slouching. We are in, angili konaha, sometimes we are very nervous and we, keep our hands, like this. So don't ever do that. Keep your hands on your lap and you can use it wherever you need to give a better explanation to the audience, right? And then eye contact. It's very important to have the eye contact, right? Always have a natural gaze. එහෙම කියලා බලාගෙන ඉන්න එපා එක ඉන්ටර්වියුව කෙනෙක් දිහා. Just see around and maintain your eye contact. If there are 2 or 3 interviewers, if one person asks, your eye contact should go to that person, right? And maintain a good, nice eye contact in there. You can time to time change your eye contact with the interviewers, but it should give a confidence to the interviewer. This person is very confident about it, right? And voice tones and pace. Different variations of your tone, pauses, right? Clear voice, tone variation add more color to your conversation, and also the listener can grab the information effectively, right? They don't feel bored and lazy, right? Little things you can use to make your conversation more beautiful, right? And hand gestures, like I said, open gestures. This is called open gestures. Your palm is, like this. So avoid crossing arms. Some people are like this. I've seen this kind of candidates, right? Always keeping the hand like this. It's very bad, right? This gesture says a lot about the person. Closed mind and not agreeing to others. Maybe a person who is very much, wants to apply his ideas only, right? Not agree with others, right? So there are certain readings of this gesture, right? So have your hands very freely on your lap, and you can use it wherever you want, just to describe some things, certain things during the conversation, right? And facial expressions. Smile and stay very relaxed. So guys, in psychology, it says when we smile, our happy hormones start working, right? So you feel relaxed and your body start relaxed when you smile. Smile කියලා මේ මාර hina වෙලාම ඉන්න එපා හැම වෙලාවෙම. It's not smiling all the time, but apply it appropriately during the conversation, right? Maybe enter into the room maybe whenever you are having the conversation, wherever you want to, you need some mind time, few seconds to think. Maybe you can smile a bit and give a pause and start thinking about it and start the conversation again. Little tricks, right? And that will relax you in the other way, less tensed. And other gestures. Always respect the personal space. How much is the personal space having for anybody? Anybody knows? Anybody knows how much is the personal space a person has? No, right? So it's the length of your arm, right? If anybody draw a circle in their arm length, right? That is the personal space. So this personal space should not cross for any reason, especially in interviews. You should not go very close to the interviewer and greet and, giving hugs and all. Don't, right? Even when you're dealing with people, you should have a self-respect to maintain that personal space. Then who can cross this personal space? Who can cross this personal space? Your family, your mother, father, your siblings, right? Your closed circle of friends who you choose to be in your close circle, right? Your spouse, right? Or your fiance, right? You can choose the circle you want, right? Who can cross this border? Otherwise, don't let anybody to cross this space, right? Have that self-respect as well. You have the right to step back if somebody is crossing that line. You can always, right? If the person is keep crossing the border, you can actually ask the person, hold on, please don't come closer to me. You should have that gut to say that, right? And maintain a comfortable distance when you are handshaking, when you are talking. Have a comfortable distance with the interviewer also, and stay very calm. Even though from inside you're panic and nervous, don't show it. You should have your own technique to control it. Maybe smile, maybe some, before entering into the room, some kind of a mind relaxation method. Some people listen to music. Some people quickly meditate. Different mechanics, right? You can use. And breathing exercises, that works really well, right? You can choose and do any of these. And always have the active listening. Sometimes people give wrong answers because they don't have active listening, right? What is active listening is you show the engagement, you show your expressions according to the things you listen and talk, right? And you avoid mimicking, and you have better eye contacts, right? You use okay, right? Could you please tell me more about this kind of, responses during the conversation? Could you please explain this further? I didn't get this kind of small interactions you can actually show, just to show that you are interested in the conversation, right? And feet and legs. When you're keeping your legs also, it should be stable footing, right? Avoid jiggling. That shows your nervousness in a way, and that shows you are tensed, stressed, and when you're doing that, you don't remember the facts easily also, right? So don't do that. If you are nervous, try some, relaxing methods, breathing or something, some way of controlling your tension during the interview, right? It could be different from me to you to somebody else. And how you can, how do you accept? That's also important. So when you enter into the room, you never turn back to the interviewer, right? You open the door and you enter and you close the door facing the interviewer. You never turn back, right? And when you're entering the room, also have a nice smile, strong greeting, right? Don't sit until the interviewer invites you to sit. Don't keep the file right away on the desk. Keep it on your lap, right? When the interviewer asks your documents, keep the file, take the document and give, right? And you should never keep your hands like this or like this, right? That shows that you are taking the control of the conversation. It should not be the case. Control is always having with the interviewer, right? So your hands should be always rested on your lap, right? Or maybe in a free way, right? But not on the table, right? And what I was telling is, when you are exiting also, you can turn back, otherwise you can't step back, no? So you can greet the interviewer only if there's a lady interviewer. Don't give the hand first. Only the lady interviewer offer you the handshake, you shake hand. Otherwise, you don't offer the handshake to the lady interviewer, right? And then you can greet. If they are not just like willing to give handshake, don't ever offer your handshake, right? And just greet, say thank you, and add something like, it's a pleasure to have interview with you. Thank you very much. Hope to get a feedback from you soon, something like that. And politely exit, right? Very confident exit, right? Those are the simple body language tips and basic communications you can actually maintain during the interviews, and this actually creates a very professional impression about yourself if you follow some kind of standards like this, right? And common mistakes in interviews. This is also important, right? Lack of preparation, like I said. මේක තේරෙනවා ඔයා answers දෙන විදිහෙම prepare වෙලා නැහැ කියලා, right? Why? Because when we ask about your experience, maybe your extracurricular activities, maybe about our company, maybe from different questions, the way you answer show that you are not prepared, right? Don't be like that. Your fact should be in the head. That comes with a lot of preparation, right? And dress inappropriately. Some people don't have a sense of, professional dressing at all. It's not about having, expensive clothes and, you have to buy new clothes when you're going for interview. Available, wash it, avoid any bad odors, nicely iron it, wear it neatly, right? And always wear light colors, don't wear dark colors, right? Neglecting hygiene, like I said, bad odor, sometimes bad odor comes from the mouth. You don't have clean teeth, so when you are smiling, the other person can see it. Or if you're sweating, you have wet hands because you are sweating. That's why I said always go to the washroom and clean yourself. If you're going by bus or a public transport, right? Use a nice perfume which is not strong, right? But just to have some pleasant experience, right? And your nails should be cut and neat, right? And if you have nail colors used, if it's faded or if that's not properly there, remove it fully or apply a new color and go, right? And then for boys, proper haircut, and shave properly, right? And your look should be very professional, neat and clean, right? And your shoes, it should not be with full of dust, right? And simple things like that. And getting to the interview late, that is also a common mistake people do. Checking your phone. Some people during the conversation, when they get messages and this phone is vibrating, they check messages. Sometimes just giving the attention to that. Don't ever take your phone outside. Keep it always in your bag, right? And keep it silent, especially. Don't ever attend to any messages, calls receiving during the conversation with the interviewer, right? Lying on the resume. This is also a common mistake people do. Wrong information. Losing focus during the interview. Like I said, sometimes lose the focus because of some SMS receiving, some kind of message receiving, missed calls, right? Sometimes don't answer straight away to the question. A person has different focus, right? So don't be like that. Talking too much. You should be able to talk in an appropriate way, short and with appropriate amount of information during your answer. Too short answers also doesn't work. Too lengthy answers also doesn't work, right? That is why I say you need a lot of practice, self-practice. Pick certain questions and ask your friend to ask those questions and practice the answer. So then you don't miss the most important facts to your answer, right? So talking too much is not okay because you miss some golden time from the conversation and you don't give the space to the interviewer to ask more questions. As far as interviewer asks more questions, they get more chances of understanding you, finding more interesting facts about yourself, right? Limiting the time of the interviewer get less information about yourself, which is a disadvantage for you. So make it a nice, interesting conversation for both parties, right? And speaking negatively about past jobs, about people in your anyone relates to your resume information, don't ever talk negatively, right? Don't blame, right? And displaying negative body language. I shared certain body language tips. So avoid doing bad body language, gestures, postures, things in during your conversation, right? Any questions? Any questions? Good question. So colored hair, piercing, or maybe tattoo will affect our impressions actually. So that depends. That depends because certain companies, they don't allow having tattoos. So one of the organizations I worked at the very initial stage of my career. So when I was into recruitment process, so during the interview, if we find somebody who is having tattoos, we don't actually accept the candidate because that's a part of their culture, right? And boys who have long hair, they don't allow, right? And when I was into manufacturing setup, they don't allow male candidates who are having long beard. That should be nicely shaved and having that neat and clean appearance, right? And certain organizations, they don't allow having short sleeves and very much revealing clothes, right? So there are certain cultures in different organizations. That's why you need to research about the company a little bit. If you have non-people, friends, lecturers, LinkedIn network connections, if you have, you can just search about the company background and see. right? Sometimes piercing. Also, some cultures allow it, some cultures don't. So I have worked one of the organizations like that. They don't actually allow piercings, tattoos. Both they don't allow, right? Especially for boys. So there are things like that. So can't help. So impression. So when you're going for an interview, where they don't allow having piercings, if you're a boy having a piercing, that gives a negative impression about yourself. If you have a tattoo, and if you can cover it up from your dress, that's fine. So during, even though if you select the job, if you always dress to cover it, I think that's fine, because you can't remove the tattoo because of the job, right? As far as you don't reveal it, then that's okay. There are things like that. Colored hair, I don't think it's like, there's nothing. I have seen any of the cultures that I have worked so far. There's no restrictions for colored hair, but very flashy colors would not look very much professional. But certain designer firms and kind of companies, they always have very free cultures. Even they dress different way. They are maybe having piercings, tattoos, or maybe very flashy colors, having in the hair. So that would be okay for that culture, but you can't expect that would apply for all the organizations. That depends on the industry, company to company, culture to culture, right? So you need to be mindful on those. What's the reason behind avoiding dark colors? Nothing specific, but it's a kind of a norm actually. So during the interviews, when you wear light colors, it is more appealing, more professional, right? And that's kind of a norm. There's no any scientific and very logical answer for that. But it's nice, just nice. But you can't wear full black shirt and the trouser fully black to an interview. It doesn't. You look like you're going to a party, not professional. But you can match a dark color shirt with a light color pant, right? Maybe a light color shirt with a dark color pant, maybe black or dark blue, or any dark color pant matching with a light color shirt. If you are a lady, also the same way, right? Sari or any professional attire you can use like that. I hope I answered. What are the colors and are the simple patterns allowed? Simple patterns are allowed, yes. Colors, I would say maybe white and black, and maybe cream color, light blue, maybe light pink. Any shades of light colors is allowed. There's nothing like specific colors kind of things, but there are certain, there's a science of colors also. There's a certain science of using colors also. Based on the colors you use, there's a different psychological facts it says, right? If you're really interested, bit search about this. So when you wear red, that means a different thing. When you wear blue, that says a different personality traits. So if you wear green, that gives a different reading about the person. If you wear yellow, that's a different reading about the person, right? According to the favorite colors also, people in psychology, it says different readings, right? So likewise, you can choose the color you wear to your interview, but as far as it's professional, proper match in it, that looks professional and okay, right? Simple patterns are okay. Simple lines or simple design in it, that's okay, but not very flashy ones. Any other questions? All right. So I thought of putting certain example questions also for you to refer. There are 3 types of interview questions the interviewer can ask, right? There are certain general questions interviewer ask, like how about yourself, your family background, what do you want to work, why do you want to work to our company, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and what are your interests, what are your career aspirations, kind of thing, salary expectations, and how soon you can join with us, what is the notice period, are you immediately available or you need some notice period. Some kind of general questions are there, right? And we also have certain situational questions. What is situational question? Sometimes interviewer gives you some kind of a scenario and asks you about that, right? As an example, like, you have how would you handle a situation where a team member is not contributing to your project? That's a common problem you may also feel. You have group projects now, so you have to work as a team, but there's one team member who is not contributing to your group project. What do? How do you handle that situation? Then you can explain how, even though if you have not handled such situation, you can think and tell, this is the way I would handle that, right? And as another example, how would you handle a situation where you had to meet a tight deadline? There's a deadline falls on maybe after 2 days, but you are packed with work and there's a challenge of meeting that deadline. Then the interviewer asks, what do you do? How do you handle it? Then you can take few seconds. That's totally fine, right? You can think, but don't take too much of time. Few seconds, think and answer. Maybe this is how I prioritize my work. When prioritizing also, I would consider these facts. What is urgent among all my tasks? What are the timelines available, right? What task I can quickly finish? So there can be different things that we consider when prioritizing work. So you can answer like that to such kind of questions. That is scenario based, behavior based, the situations. How do you handle that situation kind of things, right? And we also have behavioral questions, right? How you behave, right? Like the questions, I have a few examples. I usually ask this kind of questions because it's interesting for me to know, right? As an example, like I said, tell me an occasion that you have, right? Tell me an occasion, like, you have worked as a team and handled some kind of a task given to you, right? How did you handle it, right? Describe a situation where you had to work with a difficult team member, right? Then you have to describe the situation and what did you do, right? So these kind of questions can ask in a mix. Any question? Any questions? I don't think I have time for this, right? But like I said, branding is very important, right? You need a brand to grab more professional, good career opportunities, I would say, right? When you have a brand, good personal branding, you are more likely to get more professional opportunities. And it gives a good trust to the other person, right? You may have a good impression about yourself, strong image about yourself. So that is why the brand is very important to you. A professional platform you can actually brand yourself is a LinkedIn, right? So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile yet, create a one, right? Have a professional profile in there, right? I just took my one. So with a picture, nice banner in there, your name and some kind of a description about yourself. And bottom of this part, you have all the professional qualifications you have to mention, all the work experience you have to mention, and get some endorsements as well, right? Endorsements in the sense some people can recommend you. You can request endorsements, right? Get those. And search about the professional networks that you can build. With a professional message, send a request. When you get request, right? Don't accept everyone. Just go to the profile, check the profile, and accept it. If it's a worth and valuable and professional one. Because in LinkedIn also now we have a lot of people who misuse it, right? So be carefully, build your network in there, especially if you're putting your LinkedIn link in your resume. Your LinkedIn profile is very important because other than FB, TikTok, we don't go and search your TikTok profile, right? The only profile that we check is your LinkedIn one. So keep it more professional and appealing, right? So this is something, some additional information, professional photograph, headline you can have, the banner you can have, about section, you can describe about yourself and your background a little bit, experience, education side, license and certifications, of course, you can mention, and skills, right? There's a list of skills you can mention, and other people can rate you, endorse you in there, right? You can prioritize the skills also, right? And yeah, this is something which I want to tell. Like I said, you need to research about companies before you apply, right? So this is one of the social media pages Hutch is maintaining, right? And likewise, if you are interested in MES, maybe Unilever, maybe Haley's, maybe WSO2, maybe some other companies in different areas, different industries. So if even before you are attending to your career fair, you know what are the companies coming, right? One thing you can do is just research about the companies a little bit. Okay, I'm going to these companies for the interview first, right? So at least go and follow their social media pages and review what's their culture, what background they are coming. Are they a multinational company or a local company? Which industry they are into? How strong they are in the business? How they treat people, that is also important because you expect the company to treat you in a better way, right? So likewise, following certain social media, I usually follow a lot because other than personal profiles, I usually follow different companies' profiles because it is actually valuable for me for the role that I'm handling, right? I get a lot of insights from different companies. Likewise, you can actually have a kind of a following social media pages of different companies, so you see what they do, their presence, right? Through that, you can get a lot of insights. You will feel wonderful about certain companies, certain things you never even know, you get to know from different communications they also share. That's a good thing about it, right? So this is our social media page. You can keep us followed if you are interested. Any questions? Because this is the last part. When you are discussing about salary expectation, how do you answer it without making it uncomfortable, right? So if I'm the interviewer and if I ask, okay, do you have any salary expectation for this role and how much is it? Can you just give us as a range, right? You can, that is why you need that again, the company background search as well. You need to have a little sense of salary bands as well. Not getting influenced by your seniors all the time, but it should be a fair range that you are providing all the time. Always tell it's negotiable unless otherwise you want to be fixed to one amount, but it's better always be negotiable and you're giving it as a range, right? So you can just mention like if let's say you're not so sure about salary bands of that company, right? One way you can answer is, well, I believe I have this much of years of experience and I'm expertise in this area, and this is how I feel like I fit into this role. Hence, I believe you will provide me a fair amount of a package, and I'm negotiable, and I'm ready to negotiate with you, right? You can give a answer like that if you're not so sure about the salary band, right? Just see the amount they are providing, offering to you, and if you're okay for it, okay. If you want to further negotiate, you can ask, is it if is it possible for you to little adjust this package to a little bit higher than this? Something like that. And if you're providing a salary band, you can actually mention like, okay, I believe that I'm having these kind of qualifications which is fitting to the role as I believe. So I would like to get a package in this range and it's negotiable. But if it's gross and if it's net, you can mention that as well. Gross is the package before deductions, net is the package after the deductions, right? But as a trainee, you don't get any deduction. But when you go to permanent positions, there will be certain EPF, ETF deductions and certain deductions happen. So in certain occasions, you can give the range. That is okay if you are not so sure, but you can just always suggest one. I don't think any of the recruiter gives you an invaluable, package. They always place you in the right salary bracket. Otherwise, they also face troubles now. So they always put you in the right salary bracket in there. You don't have to keep a uncertainty in there. Sometimes if you offer too much, when you expect too much, also you will miss certain golden opportunities, right? Right. So thank you so much. I think it's time to wind up the session. If you have any questions, any support you need from my end, this is my contact number and the contact details. You can reach out to me anytime, even through the LinkedIn. You can find me. Yeah, thank you so much and all the very best. I hope these third years and fourth year students are there many and others also maybe in here. So wish to see you in future and all the very best. Any questions? I guess not. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dinusha, for that incredibly insightful, practical, and engaging session. On behalf of the IEEE Student Branch of the University of Sri Jayewardenepura and the entire Career Gateway 1.0 organizing team, we sincerely appreciate the valuable time and effort you dedicated to sharing your industry expertise with our undergraduates today. We are certain that our participants will find these strategies immensely useful as they prepare for their upcoming interviews and internships. To express our heartfelt gratitude, we would like to virtually present you with a digital token of appreciation from the IEEE Student Branch, University of Sri Jayewardenepura, in sincere recognition of your valuable contribution as a knowledge partner for Career Gateway 1.0. We are displaying our token of appreciation on the screen right now.
Thank you very much, Sammy.
Thank you once again for being an inspiring mentor to the next generation of professionals. Before we conclude, hope everyone already filled out the attendance form shared in the chat, as this will help us accurately record your participation and process the certificates for today's session. With that, we come to the end of the launch session of Career Gateway 1.0. Thank you to every undergraduate and tech enthusiast who joined us and actively participated tonight. We hope this evening has given you a clear vision and renewed confidence for your upcoming career journeys. Stay tuned to our IEEE networks for updates on our upcoming project milestones, including future sessions, field visits, and the career fair. And now, we kindly invite our speaker, Ms. Dinusha Wijayagunaratne, the organizing committee, and all our participants to turn on their camera for a group photo. Everybody, let's turn on your cameras. Okay, thank you, Ms. Dinusha. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful Friday evening ahead, and thank you all for being a part of Career Gateway 1.0.